Well, hello and welcome to episode number 412 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, one airline takes a whiz in Malta, we take a look at Wi-Fi, and one baby reaches a new frontier. In the military news this week, well, we might have some, we never know. It all depends whether someone turns up to the show because he's busy flying, but more on that later. But welcome back to the show this week, as always, the guy who sits literally across the valley from where I am here in the Suffolk countryside. It is, of course, Matt Smith.
Hello, mate. What do you mean, welcome back? I didn't go anywhere. It was you lot that had all disappeared last week, honestly. But I think we got away with it.
We did. A blinking good show.
Thoroughly wasn't it? We were very honoured. We were very honoured to have the guests that we had. It was a lot of fun. It really was. How are you, mate? What have you been up to? What were your excuses for last week, please? Come on. I want your notes now, please.
I'm pleased to say. Well, I say pleased. I use that term incredibly loosely. But I'm pleased to say that the exhibitions are all back on again. Here
of course, yeah.
So last week I was doing an exhibition stand takeout from the NEC in Birmingham, which is one of our big exhibition centres here in the UK. Actually, in the hotel next to the Hilton Hotel, I'll have you know,
lovely.
Next door. To that, so we were taking a stand down, and we couldn't get in till after the event had finished. Hence the reason I couldn't make it to the show.
Actually, while you're mentioning stands of stuff, of course, yes. I believe there's a similar excuse note in your folder, Nev, for last week as well.
Yes, I thought I'd get the excuse in quickly. I was in sunny Barcelona, and it was very sunny for our big exhibition there. Really hectic, but because none of us have done a show like that for a couple of years because of the COVID business,
yes,
we weren't really roadworthy, I would say. So the considerable amount of tiredness and irritability came towards the end of it. Oh
goodness, right. Yeah.
But no, it was a great venue. It's the first time I've been to that venue, and it's going to be there for the next few years as well. So, no, it was great, and glad to be back on the show this week as well.
Indeed. Well, thank you. As I say, thanks for being there. As I say, his location sounds a little bit more glamorous than yours, Carlos. I've got to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
Barcelona or the XL Centre or the Birmingham NEC. Tricky one.
Yeah. I was at the XL. For those of you who are at yesterday. For those of you who are in the UK and you've heard and know about the XL Centre in just outside London, I was there yesterday doing a similar thing, but to an event stand about 4 times the size of the one from last week. And it's safe to say that the XL is not my favourite place to go and do an exhibition.
Neil Lamwan has said, was it like one of Steph's conferences, Nev?
Yeah, well, yes, it was an exhibition and conference, working very hard. And actually, the other thing about it was the show didn't finish till 7 every night. And because the Spanish have a penchant for eating late, we didn't get back to the hotel till probably 9, something like that. And then started eating at 10 o'clock, which may suit some people, but it doesn't suit your Uncle Nev.
No, I can say 10 o'clock I'm thinking about bed, never mind starting to eat and consuming
having
beers.
A big pizza or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, they're rather partial to the occasional sort of afternoon nap, aren't they? They're rather partial to siesta, yeah.
We didn't get any of that, so we just went straight the way through, unfortunately.
No. I have to ask a question for the benefit of our listeners. And because we all love to know what was the event that you were at?
Oh, it's the Integrated Systems Europe (ISE), and it's the largest audiovisual show actually in the world now. It was at the Amsterdam RAI for many years, and this is the first time it's been in Barcelona because it's basically outgrown the venue. So we're going to be there for the next few years. The next time is going to be at the end of January. So it's January for 4 days. So it won't be as warm, but it'll be a darn sight warmer than Amsterdam, probably.
Well, yes, I bet.
Because we're all used to getting very chilly in Amsterdam at the start of the year. So, but no, great show, very well attended, and it's nice to be back sort of face-to-face meetings and that sort of business.
I bet.
And I have to ask as well, Nev, because the company that we do our exhibitions for here in the UK, they have all those random giveaways that they have on their exhibition stands to give to people. Do you have those random giveaways with the?
We do. We have what I would call normal giveaways for our normal, walk-up type punters, but then we have some special ones, like some very nice mag lights and things like that, which we reserve for our VIP customers.
How does one become a VIP customer?
You just need to have a word with your account manager. And I'll put in a good word.
Lovely. Carlos, we need some new equipment for the studio. I've not decided what yet, but I really want a mag light.
I'll give my friend Nev a call.
Okay, all right. Let me know how you get on with that, please. I can't stress enough. I really want a mag light.
I'll tell you what. It's better than the giveaways that our particular company, the company that we were doing the work for, had there. They had car air fresheners.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, car air fresheners and some pens.
Okay. Once again, if I could just say, I'd really like a mag light of some description.
What's that, Matt? You want a car air? I'll get you a car.
No. I couldn't give a rat's I'm sorry. I couldn't give a rat's monkey about a car air freshener. I wouldn't mind a mag light. Anyway, this has got absolutely nothing to do with aviation. We should probably get on with this show. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to say a big hello to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. Let's have a look and see who's joined us tonight. So we've got Richard Adams. Hello to you, Richard. Lee Davies is also in there. Matt Smith is in there, wielding his blue spanner of doom. We've got Neville Bounds, also wielding a blue spanner of doom. We have got, we scroll down, Captain Ridiculous Wits. Good to see you in there. Mazouz Karim, hello to you, Mazouz. Nice to see you in there. Stephen Ivy has also joined us in there this evening. Hello to you, Stephen. Dirk S, hello to you. Main Man Micah has also got his blue spanner out ready to roll. Neil Lamwan, hello to you, Neil. Hello to Flyer 152 as well. Good to see you in. Alan White, hello to you, Alan. Hope you're having a nice evening there, enjoying the sun, because it's sunny here as well. And we have got...
look at the screen, Carlos.
Oh, hello. Yes. Don't forget... We can't forget to say Nick.
Me,
hello
me.
to you.
Me.
Nick Codling, hello to you. I'm scrolling down the list, Nick.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And also hello to Andy Williamson as well. Hello to you, Andy. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Nev. Fly 152 says that mag lights are old hat technology. You want LED laser now, or lenser?
LED lenser. I've got one.
Have you?
I've got a P7. Yeah.
What's that?
It's an awesome torch.
Okay, I want to see it at the end of the show, please. I need to know what one of these is all about. Sorry,
they are next level. Trust me.
Okay. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Anyway, so thanks to everyone joining us this evening. And if you are listening to our glorious voices on the audio version, and you want to find out what we all look like, because I mean, Nev and Matt are both stunning. Take yourselves over to the YouTube page, check us out, Plain Talking UK. I know, it's just beer, and don't forget to click that.
He's got his beer goggles on. That's what it is.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and click that bell icon. To find out when we are recording, when Matt clicks that go live button every week on a Friday night at 7:00, and join us in the chat room, because we'd love to have you in there with us.
We would, definitely.
So there's been loads of great news stories, loads going on in the world of aviation this week, and if all the team is ready, I know Armando's not with us, but he might be with us. He might be with us soon, so don't panic.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is Nev, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Off we go.
All right, Matt, go on and hit the button.
Captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So this week's first news story comes to us from the website that is not on here because I think our producer John forgot to put the website link on, but we'll try and find that. So this one comes to us all about Wizz Air. And for those of you who watch the show regularly will know I have a certain passion for a certain island in Europe.
Oh, would that be Malta by any chance? Right, yeah.
So Wizz Air has outlined plans to set up a new subsidiary registered in Malta as it aims to strengthen its position and expansion plans in Europe, subject to confirmation of its AOC or Air Operator Certificate and OL operating license from the EASA or the European Union Aviation Safety Agency and CAD, Civil Aviation Directorate, Transport Malta. Wizz Air Malta may begin operations in October this year with Maltese registered aircraft. That'll be 9 Hotel. Wizz Air Chief Executive Officer Jose Varadi said Wizz Air is constantly evaluating the structure of its business and exploring options to establish new AOCs and bases in Europe and beyond. The successful establishment of Wizz Air Malta later this year will help reinforce our strong position and support our plans in Europe, he said. Patrick Kai, Executive Director of EASA, said the new setup, where one group will operate multiple AOCs based in different member states but overseen by the same competent authority, demonstrates the possibilities available through the transfer of responsibilities to EASA. Captain Charles Pace, Director General of the Civil Aviation Directorate of Malta, stated it is an honour to have Wizz Air as one of the airlines selecting Malta as one of their principal places of business. Elsewhere in the world, on the 10th of May this year, Wizz Air signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Investment of Saudi Arabia over potential airline investment into the local aviation market as part of the Saudi Arabian project for domestic and foreign investors' vision for 2030. Now, me and Nev were having a little chat earlier on today about this story, and those of you probably know that Malta is not the biggest island, I should say, in the Mediterranean. It's trust me, it takes probably around about 35-40 minutes to drive from one end of the island to the other in a car. And as much as this is good news, I just worry that we are going to see an increase in traffic into Malta. Not saying that tourism is a bad thing for the island, because it's what sustains the island and lets it keeps it going. But it is a small island, and it just worries me a bit that it may get a little bit too full.
There's no pleasing you, is there? I mean,
I know
it wasn't that long ago we were going, oh, it's all doom and gloom, no one's flying, it's all a nightmare. And here we are with Wizz Air going full on. I don't know whether they're going to be basing aircraft in Lucca. That will be interesting to see if they do that as well. But I think that there was always going to be this big surge immediately after the worst parts of the pandemic. Now, as long as the infrastructure can cope with it all, in terms of the terminal, the baggage handling, the staffing, then I think we're okay. But it's good. It is a good initiative, though, isn't it? I think Wizz Air are doing a lot of expansion in all sorts of different parts of Europe at the moment. So no, it looks good, I think.
Yeah, I don't doubt that Malta, the actual Lucca airport, can't cope, because they've invested really heavily in the airport over the last 4 or 5 years, and especially in the last 2 years they've invested really heavily in building new parts of the airport, such as the car park they've just built behind the airport itself, and the multi-story car park, which has taken a lot of stress from the back of the end of the airport. So I think they'll cope well. The airport will cope well. It's got the capacity to take that at the aircraft and stuff. It's just the island itself, Nev. But one of the things that me and Nev were saying earlier, Matt, is like you've got Ryanair and EasyJet both flying into Malta quite regularly. Wizz Air also flying to Malta, although not as regularly at the moment. But I think, and obviously you've got Air Malta, the national airline of Malta that flies from the UK to Malta. It'll be interesting to see the difference now. You're going to have 4 airlines Ryanair, EasyJet, Air Malta, and Wizz Air all vying for business from potentially the UK to Malta.
Well, it's got to be all about price, surely, isn't that what's going to decide it at the end of the day? I mean, if they want to have a busy, flight going into, then they're going to have to compete, aren't they? Literally compete with each other for the best price. If there isn't the demand there, I mean, they might be lucky. There might be the demand. I mean, if it were me and I had the money, I'd be so buying a hotel on Malta right now, thinking, oh, hello, this could be interesting times. Do you know what I mean? So. Yeah, that's my theory. Is I think all it'll mean is that flights are going to be very competitive, and that can't be a bad thing for the industry, I guess.
Yeah, Stephen Ivy makes a good point actually in the chat room, Matt. There
does he? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, Stephen's saying so. That means cheap tickets to Malta. Should we plan the 500th there now?
Ooh. Oh, you would love that, wouldn't you? You would absolutely.
Blimey. Come over all flustered there.
I quite like Nev's idea. I quite fancy where you were suggesting we went, Nev, actually, because I've never been there.
Oh, we were going to go to Gibraltar, weren't we?
Yes. Was it Gibraltar or was it somewhere at Fuerteventura? No, somewhere.
Oh, Fuerteventura. That was the other possibility. Yes, yeah, certainly somewhere warm.
Yes, you're noting a theme here, listeners. Yeah. Somewhere not in London in February is essentially what we're planning with. Anyway, we'll move on. Talking of low cost airlines and things like that. Yeah. Now John has put on this one. Matt's love of flying with Europe's favourite and most infamous airline means that he gets this story, maybe to his relief, about the shortest flights that he could possibly take with them. Quite excited by this. This is on simpleflying.com. The Ryanair Group has, so it's Ryanair's shortest routes this summer, basically. The Ryanair Group has more Europe flights than any other airline. This summer, it has approximately, this is a silly number, 616,200 to choose from across the Ryanair Group, Ryanair UK, Malta Air, and of course Buzz. According to Cirium, the group has an eye-opening 117.7 million seats for sale this summer, 22% more than the summer of 2019. Ryanair's average sector length is 764 miles. That's 1,230 kilometres. But let's take a look at the shortest routes on the group's summer network. So we'll start at number 10. It's 139 miles, 224 kilometres, and that is Stockholm to Visby, which is, as I say, that's in at number 10. Number 9, Athens to Santorini. That's 136 miles or 219 kilometres. Seville to Tetuan?
Tetuan.
Thank you. Sorry, that's really. Sorry. This is where it shows my naivety of places outside of the UK to go, doesn't it? Really. Anyway, that's 130 miles, 209 kilometres. 7 is Barcelona to Palma. That's 125 miles or 201 kilometres. At 6, it's Seville to Tangier. That's 116 miles, 187 kilometres. 5 is Catena to Malta. 115 miles, 185 kilometres. 4 is Alicante to Ibiza. That's 112 miles or 180 kilometres. Or we can go Ibiza to Valencia. That's 108 miles or 174 kilometres. Malaga to Tangier. That is 103 miles or 166 kilometres. But at number 1 in this, the shortest route in Europe that they do, this is Ryanair, of course, Malaga to Teheran at 88 miles, 142 kilometres. That's
hardly worth starting at.
Yeah, absolutely. At just 88 miles, the ULCC's shortest route is from Malaga to Teheran in Morocco, operating 3 times a week. It began in April 2019 and has a block time to said country of 45 minutes and 40 minutes back. That's crazy, isn't it? Because it takes longer to go to Ireland from Stansted, which just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? Going to Africa, 1 sub-hour block time, and the fact that Morocco is 1 hour behind means it's a good example of time travel, arriving before you leave. On the day of writing, FR4539 departed Malaga at 12:55 and arrived at Teheran at 12:40 local time. A common feature of all of the top 10 shortest routes is that they all cross some body of water. As such, flying is often a quicker and more convenient option. So there we go. That's officially Ryanair's shortest route. There you go.
88 miles. God, I mean,
I
I done 4 times that yesterday.
You did, yes, absolutely, yes. I couldn't agree more. It's sort of quite scary, really, isn't it? That you know, such a. I mean, all right, admittedly, Malaga, so you're sort of, well into Europe, shall we say, before you do that. But sort of basically Europe to Africa is 88 miles essentially, which is just crazy, isn't it? Really. It's this. I think this aviation thing could catch on.
Well, yes, I think so.
I wonder how for that 88-mile one, the Malaga to Tetuan. I wonder how much money they make for a full flight. With 189 passengers. Isn't it? How much money they make on that flight?
Well, I
probably not more than I don't know.
£3 per passenger.
Yes, but also it's only flying at probably 6,000 feet. Also, not even that, probably
88 miles. I wonder if you take into consideration that the average, what is it? It's 179.9 pence a litre for diesel at the moment at the co-op up the road from me.
Blimey, that's cheap.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. The co-op is actually surprisingly competitive, which is unusual for Bungie. I'll give you that. I wonder how far you could go, how much it would cost you to travel 88 miles. Just out of curiosity, bearing in mind, I think mine will do about 56.9 to the gallon, something like that. I wonder how much it would cost you to go 88 miles in a diesel car versus how much it would cost you to buy a Ryanair flight to fly from Malaga to Morocco, basically. Somebody go away and do some maths, will they? Because I think that'd be a fascinating comparison, wouldn't it?
Because we'll get the listeners to go and book a flight.
I know. Well, no, I'm not saying book a flight. I think it's what I'm suggesting is I suspect it might be cheaper to fly from the 88 miles using a Boeing 737-800 to go. To go from is it Dacia? No, it's not Dacia. Is it?
Yeah, I'm just surprised you said that.
Okay, all right. Well, no, because you have to
have a drink.
No, because you have to differentiate now, don't you? Because they've got the 8300 as well, haven't they? Which is the non-max, the max non-max version. If you see what I mean. Yeah, you see, I told you. Look, Andy gave me a book.
He's learning.
Andy gave me a book, and I'm learning. Look, there you go.
Boy's learning.
But genuinely, as I say, I reckon it would be cheaper to do that 88 miles in an aeroplane currently than it would be to do it in Nev's diesel car.
Neil Lamborn says that we need a DeLorean.
Right.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Right. It's the flux capacitor and the nuclear power that's required to energise it. I think that's the only slight issue.
Anyway, let's move on to the next story, because normally we'd move on to Nev for a BA story, but because BA have been so blooming good this week with their airline, Nev's unfortunately having to take a slightly different airline.
Oh, no.
Well, but yes, I mean, the crewing problem is right across the board.
Ongoing issue, yeah.
I don't think it's limited to one airline at all, but on the BBC.com website, it says that EasyJet is to offer new and existing cabin crew a £1,000 bonus at the end of the summer holiday season as airlines battle to retrain and recruit staff. The airline said that payments would acknowledge crews' contributions to what it expects to be a busy summer, with travel at near pre-COVID levels. It was revealed last month that British Airways is offering the same amount to new joiners as a golden hello. The UK's ending of travel restrictions has seen demand for holidays soar, and the aviation industry sheds thousands of jobs during the pandemic, and airports and airlines have been racing to recruit staff for months as they plan for a bumper summer. However, some have struggled to hire new staff quickly enough don't we know it? Both EasyJet and BA have cancelled hundreds of flights amid workforce shortages, which have been compounded by COVID absences. EasyJet plans to remove seats on some of its aircraft this summer so that it can operate flights with fewer cabin crew. By taking out the back row of seating on its A319 fleet, EasyJet said that it will be able to fly with 3 cabin crew instead of 4, and that would limit numbers on board to a maximum of 150 passengers, as it's required to have 1 crew member in the cabin for every 50 passengers or segment of 50 passengers that can potentially be carried on an aircraft. EasyJet said that it was an effective way of operating the fleet whilst building additional resilience and flexibility into the airline's operation. Flights would still meet the CAA regulations on the required number of cabin crew, which is based on the number of physical seats rather than the passengers on board. Well, I think they're going to have to do whatever they can, aren't they? Because crewing is a bit fundamental. We've seen just a couple of weeks ago with BA wet leasing 4 Finnair A321s and 2 Titan 757s, not because they're short of aircraft, but because they're short of crew. Yeah, it's ongoing and it's affecting a whole, well, a massive segment across the industry, I think, isn't it?
Agreed.
I think Titan must be rubbing their hands together, Nev. Because they've obviously got the aircraft and the crew, and the big airlines haven't got the crew. So Titan are loving this at the moment. I think probably plenty of work for them.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, but I think this will sort itself out. But of course, we've just come into that extremely busy period now between now and September, where the COVID situation has stabilised in many countries, and of course the desire to travel is greater than ever.
It is very much so. It is very much so. In fact, as we speak, my friends who I work with at the company I work for are currently on their way to Carcassonne for a winemakers tour. I mean, how jealous am I of them?
Well, we'll beam you up there, Star Trek style.
Right, thanks for that.
So the next story, and we cover these stories every now and again on the show. That we focused on these on one of the specials I think we've done, didn't we? But this one comes to us from edition.cnn.com, and teenage pilot lands in Kenya amid record-setting flight attempt. God, it seems like they get younger and younger. We're going to be doing a story on here soon where a toddler, does a round-the-world trip in a Cessna 150. Anyway, this one is a 16-year-old schoolboy who is on a quest to become the youngest person to fly around the world solo, landed his small plane in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, on Wednesday this week. Mac Rutherford, who has British and Belgian nationality, started his journey near the Bulgarian capital of Sofia in March and is looking to clinch a Guinness World Record currently held by compatriot Travis Ludlow, who was 18 when he completed a circumnavigation last year. He said that I'm hoping with this journey to inspire young people to follow their dreams, Rutherford said, after clambering out of his 2-seater single-prop ultralight aircraft at Wilson Airport. The plane's manufacturer, Shark Aero, deemed the journey too risky and declined to partner with Rutherford's project. So Mac is no doubt a skilled pilot. However, we do not feel comfortable pushing the age limit to the lowest possible point for journeys where a certain level of risk cannot be avoided, the company said on its website. So Rutherford's journey will see him visit 4 more African and Indian Ocean countries before heading to the Middle East, Asia, North America, and finally returning to Europe. Coming from a family of pilots, Rutherford's first took the controls of an aircraft at the age of 7 years old, sitting alongside his father. At 15, he became the youngest pilot in the world and is now following in the footsteps of his older sister, Zara, the youngest woman to fly around the world at the age of 19. Visibility was challenging while flying across the Sahara Desert, he said, but the scenery more than made up for it. And he hasn't let me down. He said he absolutely loved the views both around the Sahara Desert and in Kenya. So, 16. Wow.
Nice.
I mean, I think that is the youngest that we're going to see, because that is the youngest that you can legally, I think, do this particular thing. But even at that age, you've only probably got the best part of, a year's worth of, flying under your belt as such. There is a lot to learn when you're that age. Mind you, being that young, you can probably learn things a lot easier than we can.
Oh yeah,
like ages.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this really wrong with me? I'm getting a little bit. I like Travis was amazing. We got to and obviously we were very lucky when we got to chat to Shanista, obviously, who was Shasta, Shasta, who had obviously done something similar and stuff. And they were all great stories, weren't they? When and about. Am I wrong in like getting a bit bored with this now? It's just like, I suppose it's just evolution, isn't it? Everybody's trying to outdo everybody else, and I guess even Travis was probably aware that he wouldn't hold the record for that long. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't know. Perhaps I'm being a little bit too old and cynical.
What do you think, Mr. Bones?
It's always amazed me how you can have a private pilot's license before a driving license. But, let's be absolutely honest about this. If someone has got the aptitude and the capability and the skill set, then there's nothing wrong with that at all. But there must be surely a lower age limit somewhere where it's...
Yeah, what is the official rules in terms of learning to fly here in the UK, for example? There must be a lower age limit.
Well, yeah, you can start at 16.
It's an internet question, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. It is, yeah. Well,
and
there you go.
You can learn, you can start flying lessons, at any age, really, Even we could go and learn now, Matt, at 45.
God.
Even Nev could go and start learning now at his age of 31.
True, yes, absolutely, quite. Yeah, indeed. I wonder if I would. I genuinely don't know if I'd be able to retain the information. Perhaps this is a conversation for Armando when he joins us a bit later on, I think. But never mind.
So next story. And
thanks for that. I'm depressed now.
I know. We'll get you parachuting soon. So
I beg your pardon. No. You back that in.
Next story, Nev, is all for you lovers of sellotape.
Now, as we don't have a proper pilot on the show at the moment, but we are going to be having one shortly, hopefully, I'm going to reach out to the chat room here. So any pilots in the chat room, please comment in the chat room about this story, because I find it phenomenal. It's on flightglobal.com and the avherald.com. Qantas and Boeing are revising aircraft maintenance procedures after one of the carrier's 787-9s flew from Melbourne to Los Angeles without having the covers of its engine static ports removed. All four ports, two on each of the General Electric GNX engine fan cowls, had been taped over, along with others on the fuselage by an engineer as part of the parking process during the jet's scheduled 39-hour layover in Melbourne. But a second engineer tasked with restoring the aircraft to flight on the 21st of September last year was unaware that the fan cowl ports had been covered and did not check, said the Australian Transport Safety Bureau. The aircraft, which was Victor Hotel Zulu November Juliet, subsequently took off for Los Angeles on the 22nd of September, with the port still covered, although the inquiry states that the 787's flight proceeded normally and the jet's operation was unaffected. Fan cowl static ports provide air pressure data to the engine electronic control if the normal air data reference system becomes unavailable. They're amongst 14 static ports located on the 787's fuselage, engine and fin. Boeing's cover procedure for the cowl ports includes fitting a 1 metre long streamer which needs to be taped down to avoid being torn off by strong winds. This, however, reduces its visibility because it does not flap in the breeze. The inquiry says that the ports are below eye level, which can make them more difficult to identify without a specific check beneath the engine. It also says that Qantas's maintenance procedures, whilst requiring the static ports to be covered, did not specify locations, allowing potentially different interpretations between engineers. Warnings were more in line with the fuselage static ports, it adds, than potential issues with those on the cowlings or fin. As it was likely that different engineers would park and restore the aircraft, listing the static port locations with a separate endorsement for each would have eased identification of which ports were covered, it said. Neither the Donata dispatcher nor the aircraft's crew managed to detect the presence of the static port covers. The inquiry says expectation bias might have played a role, with people more likely to detect targets that are expected than those not expected. It also points out that one of the pilots found a pitot cover on the ground during the walk round and tried to locate an engineer, and this might have resulted in distraction from the inspection. Qantas has highlighted Qantas has highlighted the location of the cowl ports and the fact they might be covered during parking to cockpit, engineering and ramp personnel, and amended its parking and restoration instructions to reference Boeing procedures. Boeing is scheduled to revise the maintenance manual in June to include a procedural requirement to add a warning tag to the aircraft's control column, specifically stating that the engine's static ports are covered.
Okay, so we do have a couple of interesting, obviously with your plea for a bit of information there, Nev, we do have a couple of comments. The one most notably, I think, if that's okay, I don't know if you can pop it up for us, which was from Andy Wilson. He was saying, I suppose almost leaping to their defence, saying very, very difficult to see them under the engines, especially if the flags were taped down. Sounds like a bit of a design issue here. It'd be interesting to see what other people make of that. I mean, the naivety on my part is sort of thinking this is a walk around issue. Do you know what I mean? Where something's not been, and you mentioned obviously towards the end of the story there about being distracted and all that kind of thing.
I've seen the pictures on the Aviation Herald website. It's not like clear see-through tape. It is fairly brightly red-coloured tape that does stand out quite. In my view, it stands out quite fairly. But
if it's in a place that's not readily accessible, viewable, tucked up behind an engine, and you're doing a quick walk-round check, I'm not saying that's. I could see how it'd be very easy to miss.
I can see how you'd miss this on a 7.3 because the engines are really low to the ground, and if you look where the static ports are on the engine, they are kind of underneath, and the 7.3's engines obviously sit quite low to the ground. But on the 7.8, the engines are a bit higher off the ground. They are not, I wouldn't say at eye level, but I'm just shocked that no one spotted this.
And the airstick is saying this story is less about competence and more about crew resource management distraction on top of this, which I think is very true. Alex Robinson is saying, I think we're going to be seeing a fair few more 787 pilots ducking down to check underneath the engines from now on. I think that's fair as well.
Alan White makes a good point, actually. On a Qantas aircraft, yellow might stand out a bit better than red. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, I suppose. I hadn't thought of that.
If you're using red-coloured tape on red engine cowlings...
Yeah. Would it jump out that much? I mean, even if it got like that reflective, like sort of quality about it, let's be honest. I mean, how realistically, how likely is it to really jump out on you? All it would take is maybe a slightly dull day or something like that. I don't know. I guess.
I think the other thing is, as Andy has just pointed out in the chat room, the walk round has got a very specific items to look at, and from my recollection, Andy, you would normally go around clockwise around the aircraft, starting at the front from videos that I've seen. And I would imagine that there is a lot of potential for distraction as well, talking to a dispatcher that may be close by, the fueling folks maybe, all kinds of things, and also poor weather as well. We don't know what the weather conditions were like in that scenario, but it does have potential to for distraction. I would say the walk around definitely.
Mm.
Actually, Captain Cruz says that Qantas 787 engines are all white in colour.
Right. Okay. So that's not... Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, we could go on and on about it, I suppose. At the end of the day, we weren't there. There could be any number of reasons why, and I guess that's what all these reports are about, aren't they?
A quick Armando update, everyone. We have had an update from Armando. He will be here soon, albeit in audio form, no, rather than video, but he will be with us soon. So don't panic, everyone. Armando will be with us soon. Matt, you've got the next story, and as always, it's got to be a tech story for you, isn't it?
Yes, thanks for this. I'm not quite sure what to do with this one. It's like I spend the least amount of time in airports. Nev is probably the best one to answer many of the questions in this report. But anyway, these are the airports with the fastest free Wi-Fi in the world. Although I feel like I need to do it Jeremy Clarkson style. It's like, these are the fastest airports with the fastest free Wi-Fi in the world. Ookla, who, if like me, you use their app to test speeds, has just published its list of airports with the fastest free Wi-Fi in the world during Q1 2022. God, it sounds like radar figures when they report it like that. Anyway, the analysis focuses on Wi-Fi over mobile connections on free Wi-Fi provided by the individual airports and Wi-Fi at selected airport lounges. 4 US airports come top of the list. On the top of the list with the fastest free Wi-Fi in airport, San Francisco International Airport showed a median download of 176.25 megabits per second during Q1 2022, followed by Seattle Tacoma International Airport, Dallas Fort Worth International Airport, and Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Ookla's report also suggests that Wi-Fi in airport lounges is often faster than free airport Wi-Fi. Ookla said that all of these airports in the top 10 are international hubs that passengers from around the world pass through on their way to all kinds of destinations. Flyers waiting for connecting planes at these airports should have no trouble with internet speeds in case of video calls. Upload speeds are even faster than downloads at all of these locations, and San Francisco and SeaTac had the fastest uploads on the list. So the top 10 are San Francisco, as we mentioned already, Seattle Tacoma, that one was very quick. We haven't got the actual speeds here, unfortunately, but they're good. They're pretty good numbers. Dallas Fort Worth, O'Hare International, Dubai International Airport is sort of middle for diddle in the middle of the table there, which does surprise me slightly, I have to be honest. Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International, Amsterdam Schiphol, that scores quite highly. We've got Los Angeles Airport, Denver, and Denver International. So actually, it's mostly US airports in that list to say, apart from Dubai and Amsterdam.
I said the same earlier. One thing that surprised me with this list is looking at how amazing and shiny and glamorous Dubai is, having all the best this, the best that, and the best everything. That I thought that Dubai would have been up there with the fastest airport Wi-Fi, but obviously not.
I suppose, I don't know. Nev, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like a lot of the countries, where Dubai is based, have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the internet. I don't know whether that would play into...
Yeah. And also, I mean, I'm just thinking about the airport Wi-Fi I've been using around Europe recently. It's not that good because obviously everybody's jumping on it.
Yeah, true.
I have certainly found, and data isn't that costly really, depending on what you're doing, but a lot of places I've been to, and certainly Heathrow, 5G on the phone works a treat. And you don't even need you'll find that is a lot quicker than the airport Wi-Fi. But
depends on your roaming package, I suppose, doesn't it? I mean, I dare say, Nev, you're very organised, as I'm sure producer John is. Obviously, I mean, he flies all over the world all the time. It's lackeys like me and Carlos who do a little bit of every now and again flying, that are sort of thinking, ooh, what data package do I need and what's the best deal and all that kind of thing. Because, of course, we have lost a lot of our roaming flexibility, shall we say?
Oh yes.
Since sort of quite recently, haven't we?
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far.
No, okay.
There are a number of arrangements in place between UK providers and other providers in Europe as well. So very often when I'm flying into somewhere, I get a text on my phone say that I can
I see, yeah.
roam at the same rate as I can in the UK and that kind of thing. I'm not sure there's arrangements in place with all the European countries, but a lot of them there are certainly. But yeah.
True.
Interesting.
So, Nev, you've got the next story, and it's good news for Boeing.
Yes, someone's getting the checkbook out, which is always a good thing. It's on the Reuters.com website. It says that IAG orders 50 Boeing jets in partial switch from Airbus. British Airways owner IAG announced plans on Thursday to order 50 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft, reviving part of a stalled bid to replace Europe's Airbus for some of its short-haul flights, whilst handing support to struggling Boeing. The order includes 25 of the 737 MAX 10 variant, which Boeing is battling to get certified ahead of a year-end deadline. It also includes 25 737-8200 variants in a deal whose total value is expected to be $6.25 billion at official list prices before widespread industry discounts that can exceed 50%. IAG, which also owns Ireland's Aer Lingus and Spain's Iberia and Vueling, has a further 100 purchase options as part of the deal, which is subject to shareholder approval. The addition of Boeing 737s is an important part of IAG's short-haul fleet renewal, says IAG Chief Executive Luis Galago in a statement. IAG said the aircraft, to be delivered between 2023 and 2027, can be used by any airline in the group for fleet replacement. IAG continues to negotiate with Airbus for an order of roughly the same size, industry sources said on Thursday. So I don't know whether they're playing one off against the other here, but obviously BA have got an all Airbus fleet for the short and medium haul stuff. And it will be interesting to see what happens. Aer Lingus have also got an all Airbus fleet as well for their short and medium haul, and actually on their long haul they've got A330s, of course. So
I miss seeing the BA livery on a 73 Nev.
I used to fly them a lot on the 737-400s that were based at Gatwick. For many years as well. I did like that aircraft, I must say. So yeah, it's going to be, well, who can negotiate the best deal, I would imagine, and it's all about fuel burn, of course, as well. So let's see which of the two manufacturers comes out best.
I wonder whether, looking forward into the future, Nev, whether you, like you've just said, I wonder whether BA will kind of go back to a mixed short haul fleet with some Boeing.
I don't know. I mean, the whole point of cross-crew qualification for type ratings, especially, taking Airbus as an example, A319, A320-21, have similar cross-crew qualification things. You then start to bring Boeing aircraft into that fleet as well, which might do similar routes as well. Then you're into a lot of expensive training. Having said that, of course, the whole point of the 737 MAX is that it was designed to have a similar type certification to the regular 737-800, which is what all the fuss has been about. So if you've already got Boeing aircraft, it's not a big leap to go to the MAX. But if you're an all Airbus fleet on your short and medium short haul stuff, then that is quite a big leap, I would suggest. But it's a buyer's market at the moment. I hope they can get all the semiconductors they need. That's all I can say. If my industry is anything to go by at the moment.
Andy Wilson's saying mixed fleet isn't expensive.
Yeah, because obviously you've got spares servicing, maintenance, training, right across the board.
I'm surprised more airlines, don't do the Ryanair EasyJet model where it's more or less the same. There is a fluctuation, isn't there? I suppose with both of them now, because you've got the 737 800 and the 8200 as we were talking about earlier. Obviously, you've got the A319 and the A320 with the with EasyJet, but they are essentially, they're more or less got sort of similarities. That's why they were chosen, wasn't it? In that you didn't need a different type rating to fly the A319, if I remember correctly.
Captain Cruise makes a good point, Nev, in the chat room.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, he does. He says you can see the BA livery on the 737-800 today with Comair in South Africa, which is very true.
Yes.
I flew on their 737-400s when I was in Johannesburg and Cape Town. And yes, I had forgotten that. You're dead right, Captain Cruise. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you go on X-Plane, you can get the livery anyway. Because I've got the BA livery on a 73-800 myself. Anyway, moving on to the next story, and this one is on flyingmag.com. And while Nev rushes off to grab himself a Pinot, when the headline is Catherine Wright Trophy honours Jill Myers, aeronautical engineer and pilot. So when Jill Myers took a ride in a family friend's Cessna 140 at the age of 12, her passion for aviation sparked to life. She earned her private pilot certificate in her senior year of high school and became an operational computer systems analyst in the US Air Force. Fast forward a few decades, and Myers has now been awarded the Catherine Wright Trophy from the National Aeronautic Association. Launched in 1981 and bestowed jointly with the 99's International Association of Women Pilots, the trophy honours an individual who has contributed to the success of others or made a personal contribution to the advancement of the art, sport and science of aviation and space flight over an extended period of time. Her work in the US Air Force took her across the Atlantic to support NATO operations in Germany, specifically the ground radar sites around the country. She deployed to Italy, and while there, she supported an international exercise coordinating the participation from 12 NATO countries. She also applied to the Airman Education and Commission Program, the special program sending top candidates to college full-time when they remained on active duty after witnessing the first space shuttle launch back in 1981 and wanted to join the ranks of aerospace engineers. She graduated from the University of Texas in Austin and spent the next 30 years in her new chosen career. So along the way, according to NAA, Myers took on roles as lead systems engineer at Boeing on the NATO, US, and UK Airborne Warning and Control System, or AWACS, reconnaissance aircraft program. She served as a senior program manager for Connexion by Boeing's government and executive customers, managing mission-critical airborne communication systems for aircraft, including Air Force One, and working for Northrop Grumman on the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter Lightning II. Myers was one of two senior managers overseeing the production and delivery of the F-35's communication, navigation, and identification systems. And she also led the Women in Aviation International chapter in San Diego for several years, during which time she was instrumental in the planning and execution of Girls in Aviation Day. And in the 2017, she left the F-35 program to work full-time with Shyster Ways, well, someone who we've had on the show, actually.
I've heard
for
of
a
her.
non-profit organisation called Dreams Soar, which supported Ways going flying solo around the world. This award means a great deal to me, she said. It represents my goal of being a driver of good things, said Myers in response to the news. Having an impact on young people's lives makes all of my hard work worth it, she said. The most important thing to me is to inspire others to know that the sky is not the limit. My word, she has certainly done some stuff.
Yeah.
Blimey. That is amazing.
I was going to say, also, duly noted, we almost slipped into the world of military there, so well done.
Yes, just slightly slipped in there. Yeah.
Indeed.
But what a blooming career. Jesus. You know, that's amazing. Well done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you never know, we might have a Women in Aviation special sometime very soon.
Well, we are working on it. We are working on it. It's just trying to squeeze it all in.
So, Nev, you've got the next story, and we're back in air show season again.
Well, we are, but only just. On itv.com, it says that Tenmouth Air Show was blown away with support after 2022 event almost cancelled. And they've received a lot of support after it was announced that they needed £20,000 in order to run safely. So far, more than £17,000 has been raised through donations in just 24 hours. The air show does not have any council funding, and funds are raised by sponsorship and fundraising events. But due to the pandemic, all but one of the fundraising events for the air show was cancelled. It costs around £80,000 to put on the event, which covers portable toilets, crowd safety barriers, security and first aid, amongst other things. They all need to be in place before a single plane is allowed to leave the ground. Amy Furlong, who's the events director, said, "We've been absolutely blown away with the support. We've had more than £10,000 in GoFundMe donations, which is just absolutely incredible. We've also had 2 personal donations, which equate to £7,000, which is insane. Nevada Constructions, TMS Maritime Services, Cofton Holiday Park and Devon Valley Holiday Park have also come forward as sponsors." She told ITV News West Country, "We do this for the town. The fact that everyone has turned around and said, 'Well done, guys, you're doing a great job,' is just so lovely." I think it needs to be said just how grateful we are as a committee. None of this would have been possible either without the public. Tenmouth Air Show is taking place on Saturday the 2nd of July and is free to attend.
I beg your pardon?
So if you're, yes, I know that makes a change, doesn't it? So if you're down in the West Country, as Alan White is, I know, and some of our other listeners, so if you're down in that part of the world, or you want to go down to that part of the world, 2nd of July is when the Tenmouth Air Show is on.
Definitely one for the diary, I think.
Yeah.
Nice part of the world as well, isn't it? It's quite often warm down there, regardless.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm very pleased to say that joining us, people are wondering why has the screen gone to a graphic on there at the moment? But that's because we have a VIP joining us. Our 4th member of the team, Armando, is joining us very soon, and hopefully we can say hello to Armando.
Hello, I thought you were talking about Captain Jeff there for a second.
Well, quite. Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
Well, I know you were expecting a VIP, but you just get me. It's a poem. I wrote it myself.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, great. It has been a long day. Today was a long day in the Pilatus PC-12. It was Charlotte to Dallas, Dallas to Atlanta, Atlanta back to Charlotte. So it was a 7.8, I think we logged total flight time. So
wow.
Oof. That's a long day.
That is. Yeah, well, the good news is you've joined pretty much halfway through the show, so you haven't got much left to do. That's the.
I love it.
That's the win.
I timed it perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed.
So how are things on the PC-12 under good weather today?
You know, it was a beautiful day, and it is just summertime here in the southeast United States, which means there's just thunderstorms, usually brewing up in the afternoons. So Jacksonville and Central Florida was all gummed up today, which creates just big backup through the entire national airspace system, at least on the East Coast. And then it's just bumpy. Even on a clear day, it's just bumpy. It's not comfortable for us. It's not comfortable for the passengers. If you are a passenger listening to this show, any of us pilots will tell you it's not comfortable for us either. And we don't want to be in the bumps. And we try to do everything in our power to get out of them.
Dirk says, by the way, we started with the military this week, by the way, Armando.
Oh, great. That's a load off my shoulders. And that means I can just sit back and judge you guys.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, bad news. That was a joke. Anyway, right.
So, Matt, you
Yes.
have got the next story, and it's all about the babies.
Yes, that is the rumour. Yes, absolutely. This is from the CNN.com website, and the headline is Flight Attendant Delivers Passenger's Baby on Board Frontier Airlines Flight. A woman gave birth to a healthy baby in a lavatory on board a Frontier Airlines flight, according to a Facebook post from the airline. The passenger went into early labour during the flight from Denver to Orlando, said the post, which was shared on the 17th of May. Flight attendant Diana Galdoro then helped her get to the lavatory and assisted in delivering the baby. In a statement, Captain Chris Nye, who was piloting the aircraft, said the plane diverted to one of Florida's airports, then continued to Orlando after the mother and baby were able to deplane with the assistance of medical personnel. The whole crew really did a great job, Nye said in a comment that was shared on the Frontiers Facebook post. Dispatch did a great job as well by suggesting a local airport and getting a gate and paramedics ready for us. This was a job well done, and I was happy to see everybody working together to successfully deliver a newborn baby on the aircraft. Though the baby's name and gender have not been shared publicly, Frontier did reveal that the newborn's middle name is Sky due to the unusual conditions of its arrival into the world. And this one isn't the only kid born in the air in recent years. In May 2021, a woman went into labour on board a flight from Salt Lake City to Honolulu. In that case, though, no flight attendant was needed to help with the delivery. By lucky coincidence, there was a doctor and 3 NICU nurses on board, all of whom jumped into action. In fact, being born on a plane can sometimes have fun perks attached. A baby named Haven, who was born on a Cebu Pacific, is it? Cebu?
That's it, yeah.
Cebu Pacific flight from Dubai to Manila in 2016 was given 1 million miles by the Filipino airline, despite being too little to use them yet. The airline said that the miles would be shared with her family members in the meantime.
Lots of comments in the chat room for this one.
Brace yourselves, yeah.
Richard Adams comes up with a good one there. The whole new meaning to the Mile High Club.
Oh my.
Alan White is saying the baby is now on track to set a Guinness World Record for being the youngest to circumnavigate the globe.
Yes, that is unfortunately probably quite true, yes.
I mean, of all the places to go and deliver a baby, I have to say the last place I'd want to be born was in an aircraft toilet.
Now, the only thing I would say very much in that favour is, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, but giving birth is not a clean process, shall we say.
What, you mean you could flush the bits down the toilet?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm suggesting it might be a little easier to clean up, shall we say, if you are in an area that's designed to be wipe clean.
I just want to know what kind of airplane they were flying that fits both a mom and a newborn baby. That must be a first class lab or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Point. Stewie Thomas says one place they always seem to have plenty of blankets. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Are we going to suggest a name for this baby then? You know, it's born where it was born.
Baby McBabeface, something like that.
Oh, yeah. That's. I mean, its middle name is going to be Sky, according to the story.
Okay. It's got to be Maverick something or other, hasn't it? Given what's going on this week. No.
Oh, I was thinking with the Frontier Airlines. You know, that could be some really cool names with the Frontier associated. Calamity Jane or something like that. Calamity Jane Sky. What could go wrong with her?
I was thinking some kind of Star Trek reference there when we're talking like New Frontiers and all that kind of thing. Oh dear.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they leave the lav part out of the story. How's that for baby pictures?
The edge of it, doesn't it, a bit?
Yeah, Cebu Sky, Andy Wilson is offering as a possible.
Mizzou's Kareem. Mizzou's very good. Ryan.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, as in Ryanair, born in the air. Ryanair.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I was going to say, but the middle name was going to be
Yes.
Ryan Sky. That's not going to work, is
Oh,
it?
Dirk S. Dirk S, honestly. Lavi Sky.
Oh, hello, it's all going... Oh, sorry, the graphics crashed there for Laffy Sky. Oh, dear. Oh, I don't know. I mean, they could just go with a boring name like, I don't know, Matt. They could name it after their favourite podcast, couldn't they?
Isn't it good on this show that we're not afraid to delve into areas that we are absolutely not qualified to talk about?
Yeah, exactly.
And we just seem to plough on through regardless, don't we?
I mean, I've never delivered a baby before, so...
No.
Wait a minute, isn't that the whole premise of the show? That's why
Pretty
I'm on
much, yeah, that is pretty much it, yes. Although in my defence, I did spend a lot of my youth answering a midwife's telephone, to be fair.
Mama Smith.
Yeah, well, because Mama Smith was a midwife for, I don't know, probably more years than she cares to remember, frankly. And she was a community madwife, as I used to call her, frankly. And we used to have, we literally had a red telephone. This was before we had answer phones and all that kind of thing as well.
Well,
go on.
Matt, that officially makes you as qualified to deliver a baby in the air as Carlos is qualified to fly the airplane when they call for a pilot to come up to the flight deck.
Good point, well made. Yeah, absolutely. I did have one at Pregnancy Training UK podcast. Thanks, Dirk. There was
Stephen Ivey. He is going for the gold class points here, and he says, "What about Jeff? Great aviator name."
Good point. Yes, I mean, if you're going to name it after anyone, you need to name it after the godfather of podcasting, aviation podcasting, I suppose. Yes. The thing is because I was quite young when I used to answer this phone, and so these ladies would ring the number. I can still to this day tell you what the number was. It was Homsfield 217. That gives you an idea of how long ago it was. And I would answer this red telephone, and they would just assume that they'd already got the midwife. So, I mean, some of the stories I used to be told on the phone, where, sit there and listen to it for about 4 minutes as they go off into full launch, and right, that's lovely, I'll just go and get my mum for you. Never mind.
Yes, with all that excitement, we've triggered some extra input to the chat room, which I'm just dealing with at the moment.
Oh, are you? Oh, have you? Oh no! Yes. Oh no! We had a bit of that excitement last week, I think, if I recall. I blame Andy.
Anyway, Nev, you have got the last story this week, and I think due to the 460,000 flights you've done in the last 7 days, this story is right up your alley.
Well, it is, yes. Unfortunately, because I was just spending too much time trying to hit the person in the chat room, which is causing some trouble, I've lost the page. So I'm just going to reload my page, as they say.
Okay.
And let's see if I can get it back. But it's from Michelle at Turning Left for Less, who's been doing a fantastic job, I have to say, by keeping us all up to date. Certainly during the pandemic, trying to work out what the different rules are for different airlines and what have you. And it's just been full of great information. I know she and the team work really hard on that site. So, really, really impressed. So thanks, Michelle, for telling us all about what's going on there. But in this instance, she talks about some new deals that are going on. So for those that earn a high number of tier points each year, with BA, a very useful award is earned at 2,500 and 3,500 tier points. These consist of an upgrade voucher for 2 people and 2 upgrade vouchers for 1 person respectively. The vouchers can be used to upgrade a cash or Avios fare and don't need Avios availability to use them. Up until now, they could only be used for British Airways flights, which, given the reduced route network at the moment, was a bit limiting. It also meant if you were going to Hawaii, for example, you could only use it for the BA flights, not for the rest of the flights. All that is changing, as the Executive Club members with a gold upgrade for 2 or a gold upgrade for 1 voucher will be able to use these to upgrade on American Airlines. AA Advantage members will also be able to use their system side upgrades on BA operated flights. This opens up greater opportunities for members to be able to redeem their vouchers. Members will be able to upgrade from premium economy to business, business to first, and economy to business, only where no premium economy cabin exists. Eligible booking classes apply, as they do at the moment. So, for example, you need a class to be available for first class upgrades. So that's good news, isn't it? But I can't emphasise enough how informative her site is, and we must have her back on the show again for a chat.
We must.
We've got lots of catching up to do.
We have, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll leave you to reach out. I think Nev, that's probably absolutely. I think it'd be good to have her on again. Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, now things are starting to pick up as well. I'd be interested to hear sort of her thoughts on obviously some of the problems that the industry seems to be.
Yeah, she's been. If you look at her Twitter feed and her website, she's been doing a lot of flying recently and coming up against all sorts of challenges around the world. But again, she's giving great hints and tips about how to get the best out of your travel. So
just a quick question on that, Nev, because you'll know about this. With obviously with things are as they are at the moment, with there's people flying is not as much as what it was a few years back, and there's all these different schemes, Avios points and all different kind of miles points and stuff schemes that are about. But are they still a good thing to do? If you are a relatively frequent flyer, is it still a good idea to sign up to one of these point schemes?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there is still value in them, and you might say that they're not as valuable as they were. Seems to be moving the goalposts all the time, unfortunately. But certainly, if you're looking to do upgrade your class of flight with Avios, for example, or you want to save that for when you're going on holiday with your husband or wife, things like that. So, and they do vouchers and that kind of stuff. So I tend to stick with the Avios system that British Airways, Finnair and American Airlines, amongst others, use. And then there's the other major one, which is Star Alliance. So that's SAS, Lufthansa, and many other European airlines as well. But yeah, I think there's still some value in it. But certainly if I go back to the late 90s, when I was flying just as much as I am now, you got more bang for the buck, shall we say, then than you do now. You have to do a lot more flying now to get the various status and the number of Avios points. But of course you can earn Avios points with credit cards, fuel, for example, at garages, which of course, because it's so expensive, you're earning more Avios points at the moment. That is a good point, well made. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh dear, sorry. I've just seen the comment that Richard, after the little chat room invasion there, I've just seen the comment that Richard Adams put in afterwards, which said, bit late, the girls are giving birth in the lav already. Too late, mate.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Yeah.
Ship has sailed.
Way too late, yeah.
So that is where we bring the commercial news segment to a close. And we have got the next part of the show, which, as always, as we try and keep up every Wednesday with our Caption This Just for Fun. So, Nev, you had a chance to see the picture for this week. So, for our audio listeners, what is this picture describing this week?
Yes, it's extraordinary, really. It's a woman playing a two-manual organ at the back of the plane, and there's a couple of slightly disgruntled passengers looking around at her, I would say.
They don't look very pleased about the whole in-flight entertainment, do they?
No, the IFE is not quite what it should be, I don't think. But no, we've certainly had a plethora of
that's a word. Yeah, that is definitely a word
this week. So yeah, off we go.
You kick us off, Ned.
Well, somebody called Plain Talking UK Podcast, I've no idea who that was, says, is that Alison Hammond? You've got to know about
that, haven't you? Yeah, exactly.
That means.
Richard... I see. Sorry, yeah, right, no, I got it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Richard King says the beginning of instrument flying.
Stuart Thomas says it wasn't quite what the other passengers were expecting when the lovely young lady said she just wanted to get out her electronic device.
Wow. Wow. Slightly risque, but we're going to do it anyway. Another one from Richard King. When Derek wanted to join the Mile High Club with Mildred, this was not the organ he wanted to have.
Oh! How did that one get through the filter? I can tell we haven't had John on the show this week.
No,
Goodness me, no, indeed.
David Kavanagh says, the old days when your carry-on baggage was greater than 7 kilograms.
David Kavanagh is also offering early in-flight entertainment with silent movies.
Excellent. And my industry colleague Bob Cronman says, it's okay, she's with the band.
John Luke says, Eric Morecambe waits for the music to stop as an Acme stewardess plays all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order in the game of musical airline chairs.
Very good. Mr. Warner says, in the golden years of flying, the privileged few didn't get screaming kids kicking the back of their chairs. Instead, they got Doreen playing the organ.
Doreen.
Stuart Thomas says, the passengers on this on the nervous flying course didn't quite appreciate her rendition of Westlife's #1 hit, Flying Without Wings.
See what they did there.
Stephen Tyre says, tonight's entertainment will be followed by the in-flight movie Top Gun Live. Please ensure your seats are in the upright position, your tray table is stowed, and your seatbelt is well and truly fastened.
Stuart Thomas is saying, BA introduced new live boarding music.
And Nick Anderson says, the passengers were amazed every time she rose up out of the floor.
Yes, I bet that would have been quite the shock, wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Simon Brackett says, what the hell is she trying to play?
Yes. I see what they're saying there, because she's very low down on the keyboard, isn't she? There's going to be quite a... Yeah, it's going to be quite a low tune. I don't know what. Yeah. Anyway, Stephen Patterson finally says, I thought I was on a plane. This seems like a mission hall.
Very apt, very good.
Indeed. What have we got? Anything from the chat room? Any offerings?
Oh, blimey, they've been whizzing around in there. Blimey, let's have a look and see what we've got. So in the chat room, Andy Wilson kicks us off with Vera Lynn unveils the passenger, or unnerves the passengers, I should say, with her rendition of We'll Meet Again.
Right. Okay, yes, very good. We've got Alan White is saying, this is your captain speaking. If that lady plays Come Fly With Me Again, I'll give you permission to become disruptive passengers.
Captain Ridiculous Wit says, am I allowed to play my music on the flight?
Absolutely not. No, definitely not.
Captain Cruz is got a great one here. Captain Cruz says, it's an emotional support organ.
Yeah, absolutely. that's one way of putting it. 100%. Yeah.
And there's honestly, there's some great and Richard Adams, in-flight entertainment in the days of silent movies. Very
do
good,
love a silent movie. It's been a long time since I've seen a silent movie.
The thing that is this, as much as this picture is amusing, this did happen.
Did it though? Seriously?
It did happen, yes.
What, like Wurlitzers coming out of the floor of aeroplanes?
Well, not technically out of the floor, but they did have this kind of in-flight entertainment on aircraft back in the early days of flight. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, there we go. All part of the fun. That is the caption competition for another week.
To finish off,
oh right, you got one more.
To finish off, Stewie Thomas says, the passengers celebrated another berth on board.
Oh, I see.
Another on board
birth of an organ if it's coming out of the floor, right?
So don't forget, if you want to be part of the crazy stuff that is the caption is just for fun, check out our Facebook page. While you're there, give us a like. And every Wednesday, hopefully Wednesday, if I'm not stuck in London, you will get a picture on our Facebook page to leave your wittiest, funniest captions on.
Indeed. Okay.
So there we go.
Yeah, it's. Have we actually got some military to do?
We've got 3 stories.
There we are then. Okay, all right then. What we'll do then is we'll go straight into the military, but we'll be doing that just after these short messages.
Well, welcome to our London studios. Welcome to the A320 Lounge webinar tech presentation, obviously for the 320 series.
Welcome to the A320 and 737 Lounge, bringing technical refresher courses directly to you. Using our cutting-edge broadcasting facilities, enjoy a fully interactive technical refresher course from the comfort of your own home. All of our webinars are live and you can ask your instructor a question at any point during the day. All of our instructors are highly experienced and can help you. No more expensive nights away from home, no new software required, just an internet connection. Courses are run at regular intervals, so check out A320 Lounge and 737lounge.com for more details.
Discover the pioneers of speed and adventure at one of the UK's most iconic museums. Whether it's a tour of the legendary Concorde, a walk around the Brooklands Aircraft Factory, or maybe a behind-the-scenes look at the McLaren automotive cars, the Brooklands Museum has it all. Based at Weybridge in Surrey, it's the perfect day out for all the family. We can also host your private function or meeting in one of our amazing event suites. With so much to see and do, come and take a look at Great Britain's history of speed and flight. Find out more by going to www.brooklandsmuseum.com or give us a call on 01932 857 381. That's 01932 857 381.
And we're back. Hello, everyone. And we have got some military news this week. And I know he can't read the stories because he is technically driving, so he can't really read stories for us. But Armando, would you like to introduce the military segment for this week?
Well, I can't believe that Andy Wilson has given me grief about this, about military stories. Oh, no, not the great. I even put up a picture of me flying an Airbus today. I thought I'd get, a couple extra points for that, but I guess not. So Matt, or Andy, this one's for you. Matt, hit the button.
Bogies 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 108 Bogies.
And this first military news story this week, and it's quite funny because when you go on this website, the box comes up and says, "Want more military news?" So I kind of click the X button. Anyway, this comes to us from the military.com website, and the headline: Air Force tests hypersonic missile amid fears about Russia and China's advances. So the Air Force announced on Monday this week it has successfully tested a hypersonic missile off the Californian coast, marking the latest development in the US race to catch up to Russia and China in fielding its own weapon on the battlefield. The B-52 Stratofortress bomber out of Edwards Air Force Base released an air-launched Rapid Response Weapon, otherwise known as the ARRW, on Saturday, and the missile reached a sound-shattering speed. Following separation from the aircraft, the ARRW's booster ignited and burned for an expected duration, achieving hypersonic speeds up to 5 times greater than the speed of sound, an Air Force spokesperson Ann Stefnik said in a press release. Hypersonic missiles speeds make them harder to track and trace and destroy before hitting a target, inspiring worry for years among US officials and defense industry experts, as some assess the adversaries like China and Russia have outpaced them and America in developing the weapons. So it could be worrying times. Obviously, we need to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. But how about we do we need to develop these as well? We're in the UK here. We're slightly closer to Russia than the US.
Well, I mean, as you guys know, anytime there's a conflict, that usually, I guess, reinvigorates innovation. And maybe some of those, if you look back in history, this is where I'd love to have Micah on the show. But when you look back at history, some of the fastest evolutions of weapon systems and aircraft specifically have happened during times of conflict and in response to conflict. So I think it's pretty credible now that Russia did launch a hypersonic missile in the Ukraine conflict. Obviously, China has been in the news as also developing one, but this is, the hypersonic weapons and anything that goes between Mach 5 and Mach 25, as in the new Top Gun movie, is considered a hypersonic weapon. And they've actually been in development for a while. I think Boeing had one going all the way back to 2005. But as you know, as history has proven, like I just said, the current conflict is sort of speeding up that development, and like you said, Carlos, the U.S. and its Western allies are probably not going to be left behind. And of course, these weapons are incredibly hard to stop, which is their biggest advantage. Is when something's traveling that fast and at low altitudes, relatively, it's incredibly difficult to stop. And we'll see how this hypersonic missile race goes, which may lead to hypersonic aircraft, because some of them look, pretty closely, resemble an aircraft.
Wow.
It's kind of worrying when you think, that with these sorts of weapons, you don't, you've not got that, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minute worth of wait time before it gets here. These are here a lot quicker, or there, or wherever they're heading to. They're going to get there a lot quicker than a standard weapon.
Yeah, and it's especially concerning over in Europe with the geography of the continent and how close everything is and how close everything can be reached. So that's why I believe, very quickly these weapons will be developed, operationalized, and deployed, highly likely in the European theater very soon.
So, Nev, you have got the next story on the aviationist.com, all about the C-146A Wolfhound. What a name, that, Wolfhound.
Yeah, this is interesting, isn't it? It says that a C-146A has landed on a Latvian 2-lane A9 highway in the night between May the 10th and May the 11th of this year. A US Special Operations aircraft carried out highway operations in western Latvia, marking the first ever landing of a US military aircraft on a Latvian highway. As part of the annual Trojan Footprint 22 multinational exercise, a US Special Operations Command C-146A Wolfhound, serial number 12-3085, landed on the narrow 2-lane A9 highway near Bixty in western Latvia. According to the Latvian Public Broadcasting Service, the location to be used as an improvised airstrip spanning 900 metres required around 2,000 kilometres of road to be checked. Since the wingspan of the C-146 Wolfhound is 21 metres, whereas the width of the road is 8.5 metres, to facilitate the landing, several road signs were removed so that the wings would not hit them, whilst the bus stop was used to turn the aircraft around. The C-146A Wolfhound is the military version of the Dornier 328 turboprop commuter airliner, modified to permit cargo and personnel transport missions and continuously deployed since 2011. The aircraft can carry a maximum of 27 passengers, 6,000 pounds of cargo, or up to 4 litter patients. Its main mission is rapid responsive air mobility, and its users are primarily Special Operations Forces, although the asset can move other members around from the Department of Defence, other government agencies, as well as host nationals. The C-146A Wolfhound's primary mission is to provide US Special Operations Command flexible and response operational movement of teams and cargo in support of Theatre Special Operations Command. Airlift missions are conducted by Air Force Special Operations Command aircrew to prepare and semi-prepared airfields around the world, says the US Air Force website. The modifications from a baseline Dornier 328 include ARC-231, PRC-117 and Iridium Communication Suite, troop cargo capable cabin, casualty evacuation capability and NVG compatibility. Overall, 4 landings and 4 takeoffs were carried out by the US military that was involved in the simulated extraction of a wounded military from a combat zone using the improvised runway. During the Cold War, highway strips were used to get rid of the runway dependency in case of nuclear war. Nowadays, they're used to operate everywhere from unpredictable locations and project combat air power closer to the action quickly. And this is the reason why this kind of training has resumed. So there we go. Interesting use.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you. He read that so well.
I read a military story, which had got some appalling grammar in it, by the way, and had I had better notice, I would have rewritten that entire article.
Actually, I was going to say, could you imagine, Nev, if they tried this on some of our main roads here in the UK, they'd probably need to redo or replace
on the
the
A14,
undercarriage.
for example.
Yeah.
I don't
The
think it'd be
A12.
wide enough, would it?
Well, no, the speed cameras would be going off for every 5
Good point,
seconds, wouldn't
good
they, as
point,
well?
there is that.
So-
But I mean,
I couldn't even drive my Mazda 3 on the A14.
No, exactly.
I mean, yesterday I was on the A12 doing this for about 30 miles while I was in the, because the roads are so bad.
Really
here.
good quality around here, aren't they? Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
terrible.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Listen, this all kidding aside, this is a pretty unique mission for these aircraft. They're not tremendously heavily modified. So everything that Nev read out is mostly communications equipment, which you would expect modifications of that type of a military aircraft just so they can operate worldwide. But overall, these aircraft, and I've been up close and personal with them, they're pretty much a commercial Dornier 328. The only thing they have a little bit different is they have an extra lining, kind of a rhino lining here in the US under the belly. So when they land on those unimproved strips, it doesn't, the rocks don't strike the bottom of the aircraft and potentially hurt the skin of the aircraft. But there's no, we've done plenty of stories of Russian aircraft and I believe Polish aircraft landing on highways, and then American A-10s. Those aircraft are pretty heavily modified for military missions. This I'm going to attribute more to the airmanship of those crews, because they're the only modification that they really have is those night vision goggles. And
you think as well, wouldn't you, Armando? Sorry to interrupt you, but things like the landing gear, that doesn't seem to be modified at all, does it? It seems to be from the standard right out of the shop.
Exactly, it really is, and the avionics system is just similar to a Proline, Honeywell Proline system. So there's not very unique navigational aids to get somebody to a point, on a highway. They're really just kind of eyeballing this, and it's just again, the training that these individuals go through and their ability to employ these aircraft in such unique capabilities, and especially on a foreign country and a foreign road is really, it takes a lot of coordination, just nothing short of impressive. Because it'd be the equivalent of somebody asking me to go take the Pilatus or a Dash 8 or something into, hey, go land on this highway at night and pretend to pick up individuals that are injured or something. So very well done for Air Force Special Operations Command and the Latvian military who surely sponsored this as just not only a show of force, but a joint training opportunity.
So, Matt, you've got the last story in the military news this week, and it's good news for any of our US listeners who live in the Dayton, Ohio area.
Yeah, just briefly before we move on to that one, Mark is saying in the WhatsApp number there, he's saying they've had armour plated underside to the land on armour plated on the underside to land on UK roads. They were saying apparently. So.
Oh. What a cheap shot.
You'd need more than that. Blimey.
Indeed. Wow. Anyway, slightly off topic. Warbirds News is where we go for the final story. And the headline is D-Day Squadron documentary premiere at National Museum of the US Air Force. The US Air Force Museum Foundation Living History series invites you to the film premiere of Intro Flight Once More on Saturday, the 4th of June 2022 at the National Museum of the US Air Force. You will be one of the first to visit the World War II travelling memorial at the museum and join a VIP. Sorry, everything jumped then. I do apologise. Enjoy a VIP reception with our filmmakers, World War II veterans, and D-Day Squadron aircraft owners and crew members who will give a presentation after the film. The film, narrated by Gary Sinise, brings history of June the 6th, 1944 to the present present through the lens of one squadron and their epic recreation journey across the North Atlantic to Normandy for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Along the trip, you meet some of the last remaining D-Day veterans and younger generations of men and women who have recharted their path to honour their sacrifice and thank them for their service. At each stop on the journey from the United States to France, the veterans reconnect with the planes that flew, provisioned, rescued, supported and meant so much to them during wartime. These honourable World War II men and women veterans reveal never before heard information, as seeing these planes sparks memories held deep inside. The journey will take you across the United States and on to Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Scotland, England, and finally to France. You will learn the history and significance of these locations during wartime and the challenges that the crews faced in their mission to complete the journeys. Directed by Adrienne Hall and presented in partnership with D-Day Squadron and the DC3 Society. Now, if you want more information about this, on how to watch this film, it's Into Flight Once More. Into Flight Once More. This is all as words. Into Flight Once More.com, and all the details about when you can go and see this film at that particular museum will be there. I want to know when it's going to be available here, because this sounds like something I would very much enjoy.
I'll tell you what, Matt, I'm looking at the website now for the National Museum of the United States Air Force, and it, I thought Duxford at Cambridge was big, but this place is huge.
Is it?
It is huge. Armando, have you been here?
I have a couple times. It is one of the best aviation museums in the world. It absolutely. It's anybody that's finds themselves unfortunate enough to find themselves in Ohio. Make your day a brighter day and stop by the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Dayton at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, because this is, I think we've talked about this before, there's an entire hangar full of aircraft dedicated to just Air Force Ones, including the Boeing 707 that carried John F. Kennedy back from Dallas, Texas to Washington, D.C., with the cutout of the bulkhead where they had to cut it out to get the casket in there, where there's just so many developmental aircraft, test aircraft,
so good,
World War II aircraft. It's one of the best museums out there.
They've even got one of the XB-70s there, the Valkyrie.
Oh wow. Yeah, it sits outside, I believe. But even more close to the story, when we covered this story in the D-Day Squadron and the DAX over Duxford, that whole effort to get all those aircraft over to Europe, I knew there were photographers and videographers, and it was such a massive undertaking that I imagined at some point there would be a documentary released about the trip over there and the reason why they went over there. So I'm very much looking forward to this, promulgating throughout the aviation industry. And I'll bet you guys will have some kind of screening over there in Duxford, and you'll have to let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I would, as I say, this is absolutely something that I would love to see this. I have to be honest. It ticks all the boxes for me. It really does.
I was going to say, when this is going to be on. This is on my list now of places I want to go. Is this far from you, Armando, when we come out next year?
Compared to the UK, everything's far here. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll just say it's not close.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Indeed, I'm just trying to get the. Just bear with me a moment. Chat amongst yourselves for a second. I'm just trying to get the. I'm just trying to see if I can get it to load, because I'd really love. I've just been watching the trailer and it is absolutely off the chart, and I'm wondering if I can get it. I've not done it this way before.
The last one left. I'm going over to France here. I'm going to fly across the channel again in a unicorn.
15 different crews of pilots and mechanics, boomers and millennials. They were going to attempt to fly across the Atlantic in a fleet of antique Douglas DC-3s, many of which were D-Day veterans themselves.
We have many people, very different backgrounds, and everyone's coming together to accomplish a common mission.
We're 20 short weeks away from launch time, and when I walked in the hangar the other day, I thought, these guys got a long way to go.
It's our first ocean crossing, so, put a lot of faith in our engine builder.
Engine's not happy, we'll turn right around and come back.
15 individual groups of people took it upon themselves to raise the money and get their airplanes in shape, scratch out 2 months of their lives to honor our forefathers that fought for our freedom.
We'll be making one left turn to final. Copy that.
For those who were killed, captured, injured, we made history.
Wow. Wow is all I'm saying to that.
That was quite impressive, I will say.
Yeah, can't wait. Let's hope we get. Let's hope we get a viewing here in the UK really soon. I really hope that'd be just off the chart. Yeah, absolutely. There we go.
And don't forget, Armando has flown a aircraft very similar to that, haven't you, Armando?
Yeah, my Basler was a converted C-47 from 1946, I believe it was constructed. And it was classic enough for me to just, a dream come true.
Mm.
But I gotta admit, it's still up there on my bucket list to be able to fly a radial engine DC-3 and not a Basler BT-67. Somebody in the chat room was asking if I have the opportunity to potentially fly one of those. Well, I do remain qualified in the aircraft and probably the youngest pilot on the Basler aircraft scrolls in the history books. So if I get a contract, you can bet that I will film it and let everybody know.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just, well, as I say, genuinely, literally cannot wait for this to arrive in the UK. As I say, I love my history, and to combine it with aviation would just be a win-win for me. So yeah, absolutely. Let's hope it arrives here soon. I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's been nicely put together, Nev. I mean, there may even be a chance you might enjoy it.
No, I think definitely. Anything like this is fascinating. I've nearly had the chance to go over to Stockholm's Bromma Airport a few years ago to see the Douglas DC-3 that used to fly for SAS, Scandinavian Airlines. And that is kept in airworthy condition. Well, it wasn't up until 2020. I'm not sure whether it still is now, but they used to have members of the public flying on it as well. In fact, one of the guys who was the PR for that organisation was in contact with me a little while ago. So it's been kept in flying condition by the Swedish organisation called Flying Veterans. So again, imagine the amount of maintenance, and not just maintenance, but parts availability and what I would call on-the-job knowledge. And of course, you've got to be of a certain age to know what you're doing with this stuff, because the younger folks will not have had the experience of this kind of thing.
Well, also, I guess it's one of those, isn't it? They must be reaching a point now where they're having to literally make the replacement parts. Do you know what I mean? Like from scratch.
Yeah.
It's this is not something you can knock up on a 3D printer, is it? I mean, this is.
Yeah, and if you guys remember back to when we did the Basler story, the DC-3 the C-47 that participated in this, one of them was That's All Brother, and that aircraft was due to be scrapped and rebuilt by Basler and converted into a BT-67 until they did a little bit of history on it, just research as one would do, and it turned out that That's All Brother was the lead C-47 in the Normandy invasion on D-Day. And they were about to scrap it, and they ended up not doing so, and ended up restoring the aircraft so it could eventually fly in this D-Day squadron. And now it's a popular tourist. But Nev, you couldn't be any more right. The skills that go along with maintaining these aircraft, as you guys know from Sally B, there's not a lot of people out there that can work on them anymore. Finding parts is harder and harder.
Yeah. Indeed. Now, when we're doing the show, I receive pictures from various people, usually Jonathan Warner, if I'm brutally honest, who's usually sharing military-based pictures as per the stories that Armando has put in. He gets no prior warning to this, and I just pop them up. So thank you, my personal thanks to Jonathan Warner, doing his best to make lots of pretty pictures as we're talking about the military. And then every now and again, I'll get a random picture from one of our hosts. And I have exactly that in front of me right now. Now, Carlos, you need to explain what this picture is all about, please, as I pop it up. I mean, I like the premise, if nothing else. Carlos?
Let me just unmute myself.
Thank you. Yes, that'll help.
So
no end.
This is something that appeared. Actually, this has happened at the weekend. And for those of you who may use certain apps, such as Flight Radar 24, other apps are available, will know that you can click on a certain option. It'll let you follow the flight path of the aircraft that you're tracking. And this one was "Make Beer, Not War." Yeah. It was a simple message that was written by a Polish pilot flying out of Poznan last weekend. The pilot of the Technam P2008 JC spent nearly 4 hours in the air and 2 hours and 20 minutes creating the "Make Beer, Not War" words. So as ADS-B transponders have become a standard in much of the world, flight paths visible in real time, pilots have taken to the skies to draw or write all manner of things, the most popular being hearts and Christmas trees, as we've seen on the show before. But written messages are common as well in smaller aircraft, such as this one, which was a Technam, as we said, P2008, with the message written, as I said, "Make beer, not war." And apparently, there's a brewery apparently in who are trying to find the pilot of this plane to try and give him some free beer. Apparently, according to the story, there's the brewery are trying to find this guy to
I bet. Andy's put forward a good argument, saying, "I'd rather drink it than make it." Good point. Yeah. Drink beer. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a P2UK challenge for our pilots and air crews out there. Be like, well, drink beer, not war.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely the way forward. Interestingly enough, going back to the previous story, by the way, Armando, and we've got, I think it was Jonathan Warner saying there's a DC-3 being rebuilt at Coventry called Night Fright. It launched from RAF Membry on D-Day. So, interesting.
That's correct. And they have a website. If you just look it up, you can make donations. I've been tracking it. There's a website called Warbird News. And anybody that's interested in this kind of story, warbirdnews.com. They're also a magazine publication. They track all these restoration efforts all over the world. Which is usually where I'm pulling these stories from, because it's amazing to watch the craftsmanship that goes into this. But he's exactly right, and even better, if you're a listener of the show and you find one of these restoration projects around you, go visit them, because I guarantee you they will love to talk to you about their project and even take some pictures, maybe record some audio to send it over to us, and let's feature them, because, like everybody said on the show right now, they rely almost entirely on volunteers and donations. So if we can give any of these aircraft a little bit extra exposure, we'd love to.
I wonder if they're looking for a pilot, Armando. That could be you could sort of, because you're type rated for this particular aircraft, as we were talking
I mean, if you need one, I know a guy.
He would probably be willing to do a low cost airline job over here and have a go, I dare say. Genuinely though, all jokes aside, because we're having a bit of a laugh at your expense here, because essentially you're type rated on so many aircraft, it's beyond ridiculous. Obviously, you're flying the Pilatus like quite regularly now. How does trying to process one of these like differ? Obviously it's a turboprop. I don't know. Is it a turboprop? It's got props. I know that much.
The one I'm rated in is a turboprop. These are all radial engines, so there's a little bit differences. Nothing that can't be overcome. And most of these, well, now there still are DC-3s and C-46s in operation in some cargo outfits around the world. Those kinds of operators would give you the training. But these restoration warbird efforts, for anybody that's interested, usually what it takes is to go volunteer with them, and you help them, and you get to know them, and you start crewing them. Like when you're talking about Nick Camacho, right, over on APG, he helps those guys, and he'll get to fly it, and you get to know them, and you fly as crew to air shows for a couple years. You sell T-shirts, you help the mechanics, and next thing you know, they put you into the right seat. Obviously, having the previous experience and the type rating helps, but to be honest, especially with DC-3s and C-47s and C-46s and R-4Ds and those kinds of aircraft, think about how many 19-year-olds flew these aircraft in World War II. Both men and women. You go from a steerman to flying a DC-3 across the ocean or over the hump or any of those things. So they're not tremendously difficult with the right amount of training and with a couple months and or years of exposure to the airplane and the air crew. I guarantee almost any private pilot can sit in the right seat of one of these and get trained up and fly it. And that's what these organizations are looking for, is somebody who's committed to the organization, and the reward at the end is to be able to fly the aircraft.
I bet it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Okay, we're going to before we start wrapping up, Carlos. Again, during the show, get lots of WhatsApps and things like that. Now, I've got a picture here. You know how you like to collect what I can only describe as airplane windows. Now, you know you've got this collection that's developing nicely in your study. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, I have a picture here from a listener who's done something similar, and it's from Nick Codling. Says, would PT UK like to see my new Airbus window bathroom mirror? The frame was bought from Plane Reclaimers, and I got a custom mirror cut to suit the shape and designed and 3D printed bracket to hold the glass in place. Now, obviously, this isn't going to work very, very well for those who are listening on the audio version. But take yourself to this point in the podcast on YouTube, and you can have a look at this. Now, how classy does that look?
Oh, wow. That is very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. That's very, very cool, isn't it? So I was just trying to describe it. It's basically it's the frame of an Airbus window, essentially, where he's put a mirror in. What a really nice job. Really nice job.
That is very nice.
I love that.
Shall I see if I can get one?
I don't. If I were you, mate, I wouldn't. I wouldn't push your luck if I were you.
Actually, 15% off.
Well, quite.
Yeah,
yes.
actually, very good point. Actually, Nev, I was just thinking that actually, for any of our listeners who may have missed it the other week, we obviously had the guys from Doors to Manual on the show, and we still have that discount code for our listeners to use on the Doors to Manual website. So if you are thinking of maybe grabbing yourself part of an aircraft, albeit a military aircraft, because there's a lot of military stuff on there, if you go over to doorstomanual.com and type in on the promo code box Plane Talking 15, and that's Plane Talking 15, you'll get yourself a nice little cheeky discount. And some people have used that, haven't they?
Oh, really?
That's all I'm going to say.
Carlos, really?
Oh, dear.
What did you get?
Nothing.
Although Andy Wilson is saying in the chat room, I spent 2 hours on their website thanks to you lot. So
Oh, blimey. Yeah, don't forget, Plane Talking 15 is that discount code.
Dear.
And actually, Drew, who we had Drew on from the team at Doors to Manual. Do you remember on the show he showed us the picture he'd got of the lady, the Virgin girl, Lady Bird, in his room. He's now got the other side now. He has actually got the other side. Yeah, he's got both sides of the 747 now with the lady, Virgin Lady, and Lady Bird on there.
Oh, hello. Nick set up his own shop, by the way. while we've been on air.
Actually, I'm surprised that Jonathan Warner hasn't been on their site yet and brought all the various military aircraft parts that they have on there.
Well, you see, no, he's got children. You see, that's they've got better things to spend their money on, I think. Well, no, maybe not better things, but they've got things that.
I love Andy Wilson's comment.
Carlos constantly texts me, badgering me to buy stuff. He's aviation equivalent. Oh dear.
Oh blimey.
Oh dear. That is true. Yeah. Yeah,
honestly,
I can neither confirm or deny. But
have you had a look yet, Nev, and sort of had a flutter?
Well, I've had a look, and I can see why it is addictive. And certainly when Drew was on the show the other week, I had a good old look after. So I've not taken the plunge and bought anything yet. But
you've not succumbed yet.
No. But with all that pro audio gear that I bought earlier in the year, I'm a bit funds have been reduced somewhat, so
yes,
I'm just having to see what happens. But no, it's a fascinating site, isn't it? It really is.
Jonathan Warner's comment in the chat room now says, "I can't visit that site through fear of bankruptcy."
Yeah, I mean, it is a good point, well made. It has to be said.
I have other fears of that website.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's called a divorce. Yes, that's the one.
Anyway, so we're going to start to wrap up the show now, and for anyone who doesn't already know, obviously most of you all know, but Nev, where can our awesome listeners go when they want to find us on the social media platform?
Yes, it's a very good question, and I would, if I were you, I would go to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and search those social media platforms for Plain Talking UK. Our WhatsApp number is +44 757 2249166. That's +44 757 2249166. You can email the show at podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and our website is www.plaintalkinguk.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll get notifications when we go live, and you can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room, as so many people have done tonight. Just go to youtube.com and search for Plain Talking UK. Also on our website there's a link to Amazon. You can do some shopping on there, and we get a small referral fee. You can also become a Patreon and make some donations to the show. You can do that just by going to the website www.plaintalkinguk.com, and there's a Patreon link there also.
So, quick round robin then, while we've got Armando here. Armando, what are you up to next week?
Well, before I tell you what I'm doing next week, I want to give a big shout out to everybody who came out to our tiny little meetup here in Charlotte last night. Captain Jeff was out there. Dr. Steph was out there. We had Brad, who flies for a major legacy airline. We had a wonderful couple who are airplane owners, and Carl. So we all had a sort of an APG PTUK meetup. Did we record audio? Nope, absolutely not. Did we take a picture? Nope, did not. Did not record it at all.
Thanks
but
for
I guarantee
that.
everybody. Yeah, it was a great time had by all. And as to what I'm doing next week, well, I won't be on the show, but Matt is picking me up on Wednesday. So we're doing lunch in Cambridge, right, Matt?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, we got some shopping to do, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll be over there in the UK on Wednesday of next week.
Looking forward to that. Where we'll try and record something. I think that's probably what we need to do.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Nev, what's going on next week in the world of Mr. Brown?
A very early flight to Stockholm Arlanda on Monday for a couple of days.
What seat you in, Nev?
Well, I was in 5 Alpha, which is not even a seat as far as I'm concerned. That is APU territory. But I have negotiated with the airline, and I'm now in 1 Charlie. So things
it's a
are
bit
looking
nearer to
much
home.
better.
Yeah, a bit nearer to home. I think that's indeed. That's I'm a bit horrified. I didn't even, as you say, I didn't even know that existed.
No,
I'll be honest with you. What happened there?
I think there must be some sort of big conference going on, because there was very little seat availability at all, and also the flights were really expensive. So yeah, there we go.
Richard Adams in the chat room says, 5A is practically cargo.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good point. It is a good point. Well made. That's a given.
Oh dear.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Max, what are you up to next week?
Do you know, I haven't really thought that far ahead, to be honest with you. You and I are quite busy over the weekend, aren't we?
We
We've got
are.
lots of things going on.
We
but
are, yeah.
Looking forward to a little barbecue. But yeah, other than that, sort of back to it. I got Monday off, so I've got a little bit of website work that I will no doubt be doing. But other than that, yeah, not really a lot, really. Sort of a busy day on Thursday, as I say, and getting to catch up with Armando, all being well, in the middle of the week. But yeah, well, Wednesday's really my highlight, frankly. So there we go.
And on Monday, I should be unloading 2 van loads of exhibition stands. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, what fun.
I know. What a rock star lifestyle I lead.
Go on,
anyway,
wrap
that
up.
is where we're going to bring episode 312 to a close. Big thanks to all the team tonight for being on the show. Thanks to Nev for being on with us. As always, great to have you back, Nev. Big thanks to Matt for being in the studio, and also to Armando as well for joining us as well on the show. And thanks as well to our producer John, who, even though he has been incredibly busy this week, has still managed to put the show notes together for us this week on the show. And a big thanks as well to all our viewers in the YouTube live chat room this evening. Thanks to everyone there, and not forgetting our audio downloaders of the show as well. Thank you very much to you guys as well for downloading the show each week. So that's where we're going to bring episode 412 to a close. Who put 312 in the bottom of the show notes there? Honestly, episode 412 to a close. Don't forget to join in next week on Friday's show. Hopefully Armando will be on the ground for that show with us.
5, 4, 3,
and take care, everyone.
2.
See you next week. Bye. Bye. Hey, everybody.